Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen. And this is a very important story, folks. This is something that's been lapsing over a long period of time, but nonetheless it's getting a lot more volatile and a lot more dangerous because, as we've gone into before, pensions are not safe. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, recently we did a video on how the baby boomer generation is dying off, unfortunately, and it's causing a lot of economic issues, a lot of concerns, and a lot of people message us and said, well, you must not care about old people, you must not care about seniors, which is the exact opposite of the fact. The fact of the matter is, here are the facts, this is what's happening, and this baby boomer generation that's all retiring right now is going to be facing a very serious issue in the very near future. Not to mention all the people that are in their 40s, 30s, etc., that are saving up their whole life to, get this big juicy pension that there's a good chance they're going to be losing. And John, let's go into this very serious issue.
Yeah, well, it's very serious. This is kind of scary stuff for people that are like. Not for myself, because I don't believe in any form of pension or RSP here in Canada or 401k. I don't believe in that. I have my own private way of investing, and I write about this in my book as well. Like this recent book that I wrote, I said it's time for you to actually, and it says on the back, it's time for you as an individual to take charge of your own money and not letting the bankers and the government take care of it.
Absolutely. Nothing good ever comes out of giving the government and banking system.
And I gotta say something. This is about the Canadian pension system. The actual chapter title of my book, I just find it so fitting with what we're gonna talk about here. I call it the Canada Pension Ponzi. CPP, like Canada Pension Plan.
Yeah, and of course, this doesn't just cover Canada. This report is covering Canada, the United States.
Yeah, so now we're going to talk about the global economy and what they're facing. In an article recently from My Budget 360, they talk about the global pension nightmare. You could look it up there. We're going to show it on the screen as well. What it shows is, but this is 2050. I think we're going to have way bigger problems before 2050, to be honest with you. I think we're probably looking at in the next 5 years, maybe even less. But what they're looking at the projections of how much underfunded these pension funds around the world, both private and government pensions. Now, this is kind of scary what you're looking at, because on a global scale, pension funds would be underfunded by $330 trillion in 2050. So, of course, it's 2050 again. I think we're going to be in way bigger trouble way, way, way before that. As I said, probably most likely 5 years or less.
Because it'll carry on with the collapse of the fiat system.
And we're seeing this, with CalPERS and other pension funds in the United States. We've been reporting on this, Josh, where they're going bankrupt. They promised, a 9% return or something to, their government employees, way over what they can actually get now in a return. And so, that money that they're supposed to give out to all these pensioners that would promise the next amount, well, the problem is now they're going to start borrowing money in order to cover the shortfall. Or with the Canada Pension Plan, as they just recently did, they just hiked the contribution that you have to. You're actually forced to contribute to the Canada Pension Plan, which is utterly insane to force people into something that we know is going to fail down the line. It's just a way for the government, of course, to make you even more safe, because you believe that, I hear it in Norway a lot. I'm gonna survive on my just my old age. I'm gonna be able to just get along. My grandmother was on old age back probably 10 years ago before she died. She didn't she was very poor. But she had a great support, fortunately, from the family that took care of her.
Oh, so voluntary, means.
I think the families are going to be the ones that actually take care of the older people. It used to be the baby boomers taking care of our generation, because we were their kids. I think we're going to get to a point, unfortunately, where we have to take care of them, because what they had in assets is going to collapse in on itself.
And this is just another government-enforced risk. It's the government forcing you to risk all of your money, all of your assets. This is really important to break down. You have some numbers here, John.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to just quickly go into just tell what they project for the United States is a shortfall of about $110 trillion. which is actually more than that right now. Currently, China, they're looking at about the same, about 100 trillion shortfall. India, a shortfall of about 60 trillion. So these are trillion, and Canada, a shortfall of $10 trillion. That is not going to be able to cover, the investments. And as I said, they had to actually print money on top of, stealing money from our account when we actually make a salary here in Canada. Now, the biggest, of course, is the government. Always the government that screws up and overpromises to the people. And they, of course, have been the causes of hyperinflation all around the place. Because they promise so much more than you get in the private sector. But the problem is they forget that the private sector is funding the public sector. So, of course, 75% of all government pension funds are underfunded, which means that they don't have enough money to pay out. And then 24% of the private ones. And then the individual shortfall and savings is just 1%. So very interesting. But now we're going to, turn from the government. We're going to actually turn to the big corporations, because we've been led to believe that, you could just get a job in a big corporations to get a, nice pension at the end of the line when you worked really hard all your life.
You mean one of the big major corporations that's been monopolized by the hand of regulatory and tax power from the government?
And currently, these big corporations are using share buybacks to prop up their share price of their company. Like, they're using debt, they're borrowing debt to buy back their own shares in order to... there's no value creation anymore in the big corporate sector.
There's no incentive for any of that, because in the end, they don't have to compete against anyone in the free market, because there is no free market.
No, of course. And so this comes back to you as an individual, again, have to take charge of your own money, because I'm just going to give you a couple of examples of some American corporations from a Zero Hedge article that is very scary, actually, to look at, because these are the current ratios of how much the pensions are actually underfunded, or how much is funded of the actual pensions that are available to the people that are retiring. You have, for example, Intel is the worst pension, they have the worst pension fund for their people. Intel, they have 46.6% funded, which means that they are underfunded by 50%. For example, Delta Airlines, 49.4%. We could do Procter & Gamble is another big corporation that everybody knows about, 59.4%. DuPont, 67.1%. General Electric, 67%. So it just goes on and on. You can see the whole full pictures on the screen to see how all these different corporations are so underfunded with their pension funds. So when all comes to all, Josh, all that it's telling us is that why are we trusting these corporations or a government to take care of us when we should have our individual responsibility to take care of ourselves financially? And how about, instead of these corporations, giving money to their big pension funds that are, getting sold crap derivatives that we saw from the banksters. They're just selling them crap, rating it AAA, and then of course these pension fund managers like, AAA.
Yeah, they rate it from the top three or
totally
something.
Fine. And then they invest in complete crap, while you as an individual, just a little bit of education on it, you could take care so much better of your life investing in, gold, silver, real estate,
assets, and
Bitcoin, other thing, just getting away from this belief that other people can take better care of your money. You need to educate. You need to start to take individual responsibility and educate yourself, because it's clear that these pension funds and also the fund managers that I bump into here, they're just salespeople.
Well, I wanted to mention, a lot of people will say, well, when do I have time to learn about these things? Because obviously you shouldn't get into things without knowing about them. But with that said, the little bit of time you have in each day to watch a show on TV, or watch a bit of a movie or something, or read a certain fictional book, put that time instead into, just for a little while anyway, at least to learn about this stuff, put some of that time into actually learning about assets, learning about where to put your money, because then that's going to pay off in dividends in the future if you know what you're doing. And with that said, talking about Bitcoin, I've been saying to a lot of people lately, why put money in a pension when you could put a little by little into something like Bitcoin?
And of course,
that's
the pensions are denominated in fiat currencies.
Exactly. So, yeah, you're just constantly losing money and you can lose everything. And you don't want to work your entire life only to find out that you have nothing. You are much better off taking responsibility for yourself and not following the line of the government and the banking system and the manipulated markets in order to gain some kind of financial incentive way down the line that you aren't even sure you're actually going to get. And if you get to that point and you realize that you have no money and you have to take up another job at the point when you thought you would be retired, then you are going to be in a world of hurt. No one should work their entire life until they're dead unless they like what they're doing. And I think there's a lot of incentive to spend just a little bit of time, so way down the line you can thank yourself for it by actually learning about these issues that sound really complicated. They're made to sound complicated on purpose, but they're quite basic in the long run.
Well, I know financial advisors, unfortunately, we can't mention their name because then securities will come after them and probably try to just take away their livelihood. Mm-hmm. But there's people out there that are actually talking about how, the whole RSP, the 401k system was completely corrupted and colluded between the banks and the government in order to make all that money because the banks, of course, in these funds, they make a huge amount of percentage off of the fees that they're creating, and then of course the government gets give you a little bit of a little carrot at the front end with some tax deductions, and then they take they know that they're gonna get 20 to 40%, maybe in 50% at the back end in taxes. On a massive pot compared to what the little bit that they gave you as an incentive to give them your money. So it's all about a massive collusion that's going on between the government and these funds that people are putting their money in the 401ks, the RSPs.
Well, why would you put your faith in a government that wants to see they benefit from your debt, they benefit from poverty? Why would you put your finances in their hands? I think this all just comes down to personal responsibility and financial responsibility for yourself, which is far greater than anything you can expect from a government that wants you in debt and wants you living off of small scraps of money for the rest of your life. So diversification is very important. This is my opinion. This isn't legally financial advice. I have to say that because the government, who benefits off of your debt and your poverty, doesn't allow people to give advice when they haven't gotten a Keynesian degree from some terrible university where they're taught the lies that the government pushes.
Not even that. It's just a sales degree most times, and there's nothing really that they know. These people are just salespeople. They have no care about understanding it, like money and how it works.
Yeah.
All they know is that they get X amount of money when they sell you into one of these funds.
Yeah, absolutely. So bottom line, financial responsibility, financial education, very important. Yeah. Thanks for going into this with us, John. We will surely continue to talk about this issue as it unfolds because it seems a lot closer than those predicting are claiming it will all come crashing down. The forecasts are usually a little bit too long-term for the reality of these issues. So thanks for going into this, and we'll be back at you with much more. Check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized and censored by YouTube. Also check our Bitcoin address in the description and the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check me out at Josh Sigurdson, and check John out at The Economic Truth at steemit.com. That's steemit.com, the future of social media, where you get paid in cryptocurrency to blog and post, all based on your upvote and the demand of your post. And really, in the end, it will take over the dinosaur social medias that are just destroying individual creativity and censoring those who are speaking what they call controversial speak. So on top of that, I also want you to check out John Sneisen's new book, Canada, the Greatest Economy in the World?
Check out the Canada Pension Ponzi.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great book, and I really hope you guys check it out. It's at Amazon. We'll leave a link below for that as well. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth,
be the change.